let's talk about the Rotovap. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the water bath is filled. So as you can see, it needs to be filled enough so that when you lower the connection with the round bottom flask, that it can completely submerge your flask. So it has to be filled roughly to this level here. It can be filled a little higher. What's going to happen is when you put the heat on, it'll evaporate. So you want to make sure that it's filled high enough and that you keep checking it as the reaction or the evaporation continues. So in order to control the heating, there is a switch down at the bottom. You turn it on. The temperature control is located on this dial. The actual temperature is on the right and set temperature is on the left. So you just wait for it to come up to the temperature you need, and that's it. So you set it and forget it. Okay, the next step is to attach your round bottom flask. So this part here is connected via this spring, and this can be removed. This here is the clip that holds it in. As you can see, it's slightly broken, so be very careful. But since it's not broken on this side, you can actually hold it in like this. We have other adapters that are different sizes. This is for different volumes of round bottom flask. The key here is making sure that there's enough grease so that A, it can be removed easily afterwards, and B, it creates a nice tight seal, because this will all be under vacuum. This collects the less volatile solvents as they're evaporated from the round bottom flask. So once you have your solution that you want to evaporate, take it and you connect it like this. But what you need to do is make sure you have the right clip. If you don't have a clip, this will fall off and you could potentially ruin your sample or break the adapter. So the way this works is you put this on, right? So you have to check whether or not it's the right size. This top part has to be the adapter for this part. So you have to make sure that it's correct on both scales. So what you do is like, you stick it on and you just clip it. So this should hold. Try not to twist or bend on taking this off. Upon taking this off, pull it straight out and just twist slightly and pull down straight. What you don't want to do is put any torque onto the glass and break the adapter. If it's fused and it's really stuck on there, what you can do is squirt a little ethanol in there, just a tiny, tiny amount, and twist it a little bit and take it out. It should come off. So let's just keep this on here for now. Okay. Next step is you want to turn on the rest of the machine. So here's the power. This is for rotation. And this is the vacuum controller. The vacuum is to the left here. The power switch is right here. And you can just turn it on. Okay. So I'm going to turn that off for now so you can hear me. Now let's talk about the actual condenser. So here is the column condenser. It has the coil on the inside, which has a water source. So the cold water source, come out of the fume hood for a second. The cold water source is right here to the right of the fume hood, and this is the tap. The green tap here is where the water comes out. There's this tubing with an adapter to this smaller tube that connects to the condenser inlet. This, because of the difference in size between the tube that connects the inlet on the condenser and the water tap, essentially we've jerry-rigged this Teflon adapter, and the thing is about that is you need to make sure that there's no leaking. In order to do that, you need to wrap this in parafoam, and you have to do it quite tightly. before you start your Rotovap, you should always check whether or not it's leaking from there. Before you turn on the water at all, the water outlet that runs from the outlet of the condenser will run all the way along here. It's zap strap, so you don't have to worry about anything but the end. This end needs to be in, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a sink back there. If it's not there, the water is going to flow into the fume hood and you're going to get a flooding situation. So now once that's in there, you can turn on the cold water. And you can see the little bubbles running. So that indicates obviously water flow. And just make sure that the water is in fact draining into the sink. If the pressure is too high, the outlet tube might spray somewhere else. And so you just got to make sure that the water flow is such that you're not getting leaking here and then you're not spilling and flooding here. The cold water on the column is what allows for more volatile solvents to actually condense in here. You want to collect, the solvent then drips down into this large collection flask. The collection flask is secured by this clamp. This clamp screws. So you unscrew the clamp, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, like this. And you remove this like this. It is also greased for a tight seal. This can be emptied at the end of your experiment. Make sure that it's secure so it doesn't fall off. It rotates because it's a ball joint. So we just gotta make sure that it's secure. Okay, so that's good. This up top is a release valve. So you can unscrew it. And as you can see, there's a little hole on the inside of this. This has to be greased so that it can rotate. And essentially what this does is it can slowly reach the vacuum by lining up that hole with this outlet. Make sure that it's 90 degrees, or in fact, just make sure that this hole is no longer in line with this when the vacuum is on. Now that the water is running, you can start the roto evaporation. Now, within here, there are a lot of preset vacuum settings. Depending on the solvents that you want to evaporate, you want different vacuum pressures and bath temperatures. So, in order for your specific experiment, you need to look up in the literature what the vapor pressure and at what vacuum pressure and temperature you're going to be able to evaporate your solvent at. So here you can see there's manual sets and there's also presets. So this little book here is the library, and it actually will show you different instructions. It tells you different instructions on how to use the machine A. And it gives you references on where to find more information online. So here you can see the solvent library is acetic acid. So in fact there's lots of different presets you can use. If you know that your solvent is in the preset library, you just click on that and it will start and it will do the settings that is appropriate for that solvent. But if you want, you can also just manually set the vacuum controller here. Up here will be the vacuum pressure, and you can manually set the temperature control down at the back using this dial. So once you have the settings that you want, all you have to do is now lower and start the rotation of your sample. You should do that before you start the vacuum.